Hey, what's up guys? In this video we are going to be creating our own channel strip in Ableton. They are infinitely useful and pretty fun to use. And let's just hop in here. So we have this house loop thing going on. And a channel strip in a group in a rack in Ableton is a kind of a good starting point for, I guess, like 98% of sounds. So we're going to do that right now. So what it is a channel strip is just a strip of a singular channel on a large console, and there's a gate, a compressor, some gain, some EQ controls, and we're going to build that in Ableton starting now. So we're going to start out with a gate, and a gate is a kind of a specialized compressor, and if, you know, what it does is when the audio goes above a certain amount, it will turn on and let the audio through. And when it goes below a certain amount, it will cease audio production. So if I have it all the way up here, the threshold, we got nothing. And as I bring it down, right, things are coming through. And then when they drop below, it will kind of mute, but it doesn't mute right away. The release control dictates how fast it will mute, as well as the hold time. Hold time is exceptionally important. You should learn that. So let's bring the threshold down here. Right, so it's biting on the kick and the percussion, and what this will do is this will create more dynamics in our mix and make things sound better if we do so desire. And remember, it's not what it sounds like separate, it's what it sounds like all together, like have all the elements of your track. So what's happening now is it's kind of not getting the attack. So what I can do is I can bring the attack to 0.2 milliseconds, which is very fast. So now we can hear that kick. Very important. If we have a slow attack, we lose that attack of that kick and it doesn't sound right. So what we'll do is we'll just have it set to that. Right now we can see the kind of gain reduction here. All well and good. Next thing we're going to add is a glue compressor. And you can add the conventional compressor, the regular compressor, but I like the glue compressor because there's a lot of clever things under the hood. They're not as easy to model as you might think. As far as I know, there's a lot of clever things going on under the hood. Those smart English people. And what this will do is this will accentuate the gate, right? The gate and the compressor work in series. So, from gate to compressor, all well and good. And then from here, we will focus on the frequency domain, just add an EQ, you can do all sorts of fun stuff and, whatever we want. And then from there, we will go to our utility, and then we have access to our gain, our bass mono, which kind of makes everything below a certain amount that we select be mono, which is important. And we can like invert the phase of things, which can be useful for recording drums, and we didn't do it correctly and there's some weird phasing issues. It can be solved using that. Balance and things of that nature, all well and good. So instead of like creating this every time we have a track, we can just select this guy, hold shift, go all the way to the end here, right click, and then hit group. And these are all in a group. We can hit this little save icon, and that will save it. So then we can drop in our channel strip, and that's pretty fun. So we have this. So there's a couple things to consider. Having dynamics control before EQ stuff is relatively safe, right? So what happens is if you change compressor values, it's not going to change what the EQ is doing. But if you have the EQ before the dynamics section, like we have here, it will feed in and affect how the gate is triggered, because the gate is triggered by, what you have being fed into it. So if we have like the low end being taken out, it really affects it. Right? Pretty self-explanatory. It's something to look out for. If you prefer to have EQ stuff before your dynamics control, what you can do is you can sidechain it with itself. And this is pretty fun. So you sidechain it, yeah, you select that, and then you go pre-effects. So the sidechain input, I'll just draw it in here. The sidechain input is from here, like pre-effect, right? So it's going into the sidechain input as opposed to having the whatever is before it being fed into it, and that will, you can do all sorts of changes and it won't affect it one bit. If I hit play. Right? Doesn't affect it at all. And it's a good idea to do that if you have, some things before your dynamics control. It's all important to do. But, 9 times out of 10, you should probably have that, the frequency control after the dynamics so you don't end up running around affecting things. Something else that is important to consider is, you can still kind of sidechain it to itself or whatever. Let's just go, you can go pre-effect or like the audio rack pre-effect, so you can have it at the beginning of the audio rack. Forgot to mention that. What you can do is you can attenuate the signal before it comes in. So this is a common thing, actually. It's a very common thing on compression. So say you have this guy right here. And, it's like bass heavy electronic music. You have the low end that will greatly affect the gain reduction. It'll affect the compressor more than the high end stuff. There's a way to combat that. You can just hit EQ, and then automatically it's a high pass situation. So we'll listen to that. Right, and what this is doing is the sidechain going into it is being attenuated by EQ, so it doesn't like that. Like the woomph isn't like affecting and making the gain reduction jump around. This is a common technique, and that's why it's kind of default here. Right, in 5 dB of gain reduction as opposed to more. So the compressor reacts differently and I guess more pleasingly, if you want to describe it like that. And that is that. So experiment. You can also do some cool things if you wish. You can. I don't know if you want to delve into it. You can actually select the glue compressor and then group, and then set up its own kind of sidechain effect. We'll just drop in an EQ, and then this will be, I guess, EQ pre-comp. Right, and then we will mute that, right, and then I'll have that set to the sidechain, right, and that will be post effects of the EQ pre-comp, right here. Do that. So essentially, I'll just draw that in. Essentially, sound comes in to here. It is effectively split. This will go into this right here. And then this will kind of go into the compressor. It is effectively split. And if we go over here, so it'll be like from this EQ, it'll be folded into the sidechain input there. I hope that makes sense. I really hope it does. And we have it muted so we don't actually hear it, but it's a utility. So then we can be like, and we can move things around. We can solo. It's like, I like that. I don't want the high. I want the mid to really bite the compressor. So there we have it. Which you can get some really creative kind of effects that way. And that is that right there. Let me just do that. Or this, rather. So from here, you have your EQ. And if you want to be, neat about it, what you can do is, you can add like a dynamic tube to emulate a bit of gentle distortion. Or if you want to be, cytomic audio about it, you can add, a glue compressor, just have the threshold like that. Release automatic, low ratio. And you can turn off soft clipping and then turn the makeup gain. And then adjust just the makeup gain to taste. You could just bring the range down so it doesn't actually do anything. I should probably Just kind of explain what that does. Right, and that'll add some nice harmonics to it. And then from there, you can attenuate the gain and, roll off the bass and things like that. And yeah, you can essentially just put that all in a rack, hit that save button, and then audio, let's go channel strip, Chanel strip solo. So yeah, there it is, and then I can just drag that in, and I can adjust things all nice and neat. You might want to, set the threshold to base value, and the compressor and stuff like that. And yeah, you can just experiment and have like different versions of each. And you can have one just for drums, just for synths, just for basses, and one for your master. You know what I mean? You can just go all bananas with it. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned stuff. Take care and have a good one.